Okay, so the page on Schoology you should be in is this one. It's called Tracking Entrepreneurial Moments in Your Book. I provided a short explanation here of what an entrepreneur is. So that would be the person who is entrepreneurial, and then what that would mean entrepreneurial means, which is business-like, someone who shows traits or qualities that um, show that they would be good in business. So an entrepreneur is someone with like a new business idea, and they're really good at presenting that idea and showing just how it's a good business idea. They're going to be a go-getter. They're going to be someone who is smart when it comes to making deals. So an entrepreneur is really that person who you want running or starting a business. So yeah, those are the kinds of things you're looking for as you read and analyze your character. So the book I am reading, the assignment looks like this. It comes from this link. This is what you're gonna fill out, and I'm gonna show you how to fill it out. So I'm reading the Mistborn trilogy by Sanderson, Robert Sanderson, I think his name is. It's a fantasy book. It's got lots of characters, but it's got two main characters. Vin, this girl right here, and Kelsier, who's a leader. I've decided to take notes on both of them, but to keep this video short, I'm just going to show you an example from the book that shows how Vin is entrepreneurial. So I've already filled out part of it. If you open the example, it looks a little different from the version that you're going to have for this assignment. I gave you some steps. So here are the steps you should take to do this assignment successfully. So number one, think about the traits. So you're looking at that first box right here. What's that desirable business trait? Think about the traits that you know your character or characters have. These can be nouns or adjectives. Then I give you examples of both. So when I was thinking about Vin, and I want you guys to actually pause the video right now, and in order to know what's going on in my book, come down to this summary. You guys have to do a summary as well, um, but it doesn't have to be as long as mine. I did a really long summary because I have to sum up 4 weeks of reading in one assignment. So go ahead, pause the video, look through my summary, and then you'll know what's going on. If you don't, ask me questions if you really need to. Okay, right now you should have unpaused the video because you're ready to keep going. You know basically what's happening in my book. So I picked Vin because she's this poor girl, so she knows what it's like to have nothing, but she's also special. She has unique allomantic, so magical powers, and she's just really bright. She's clever, and these are all traits I could use. The ones that I ended up putting in my list are she has special powers, she's forceful, she gets what she wants. She's manipulative, so these are my two adjectives. She's inquisitive, and she's insightful and observant. Um, I could not just do one business trait, and you guys might have the same issue. I have a whole bunch of business traits that I think would be useful if she's going to be my business partner for my travel company. So, I've thought about the traits she has, and I know which one that I'm going to look at in the book and kind of talk about. So, she's really observant. She really looks at situations and tries to figure out exactly what's going on. And this is going to be useful in the business world because I need someone who can look at a foreign country and the markets there and who can kind of decide what would work in the business sense and what wouldn't. And Vin's ability to observe and take kind of notes in her head would be really valuable to me because I'm not good at taking notes in my head. I tend to forget these things. So, where do I see this? Because I can't just say it. And I need you guys to do this too. What's the evidence? That's this section. Example from the book. I see it right here. In this scene, Vin is pretending to be a noblewoman. She's helping out the rebellion. She's still kind of new to this, so she's figuring it out as she goes along. But her thoughts, most importantly, and her actions really tell me that she's careful. She observes her situation and takes really careful notes in her head. So here's what happens. She asks, "Master Delton has arrived," she asked, using Doxson's fake name. He played the part of one of Renault's merchant contacts inside Luthadel. "Yes, my lady," the servant said. "He's in conference with Lord Renault." Vin let the servant go. She could probably force her way into the conference, but it would look bad. Lady Valette had no reason to attend a mercantile meeting between Renault and Delton. Vin chewed her lower lip and thought. Sazed was always telling her that she had to keep up appearances. Fine, she thought. I'll wait. Maybe Sazed can tell me what that crazy boy expects me to do with his handkerchief. She sought out the upper library, maintaining a pleasant, ladylike smile, inwardly trying to guess what Renault and Dachshund were talking about. Dropping the weapons off was an excuse. Dachshund wouldn't have come personally to do something so mundane. Perhaps Kelsier had been delayed, or maybe Dachshund had finally gotten a communication from Marsh, Kelsier's brother. Let's go to the next page. Along with other new obligator initiates, should be arriving back in Luthadel soon. So Kelsier's brother should be arriving in Luthadel soon. Dachshund and Renault could have sent for me, she thought with annoyance. Valette often entertained guests with her uncle, so Valette is her fake name when she pretends to be a lord. She shook her head. Even though Kelsier had named her a full member of the crew, the others obviously still regarded her as something of a child. They were friendly and accepting, but they didn't think to include her. It was probably unintentional, but that didn't make it any less frustrating. Okay, so I can see that she's observant in this entire passage. I would actually copy and paste the entire thing into this document just to have it. So I've got the first part. Should be arriving through frustrating. So I've got my passage here. It's bolded. I'm going to unbold it so we know it's part of my answer. It's long, but it's going to help me when I get to my final part of the project and I need evidence that I can point to this when Mr. Taylor asks me, hey, why do you think that this person is a good business partner? So here's my text evidence. I have it in quotation marks. If I'm really smart, I'm going to record the page number. I'm just going to do my location since it's an ebook, which is, you can't see it, but it's 5883. So I'll put page 5883 to show that location number. Okay, so I said I was focusing on her being observant and insightful. I say that because in this passage, she is thinking constantly about why people are including her and not including her, especially right here. She was annoyed, but she is able to see why the crew does what they do. They're friendly and they're accepting, and she knows that. And it was unintentional that they didn't invite her. Um, and she thinks it's because that they look at her as a child still, because she's one of the younger members of the rebellion. So I think she's just really insightful here. She's looking at these adults and what they're doing is they plan a rebellion, which is huge. If she can help plan a rebellion and take part in that, she's definitely going to be able to handle a travel company, right? If she's looking at situations in which two customers are battling with each other, or maybe she's battling with a customer, she's going to be able to kind of read that customer's mind in a way and make the right choice, as she's doing here. She wants to kind of misbehave. She even says that she could sneak out, she says at some point, but she's not going to do that because she doesn't, she's going to do the right thing. And meanwhile, the whole time, she's pretending to be a noblewoman. If she can pretend to be a noblewoman and there's all these threats around to her and they're looking for her in this fantasy world, I'm really impressed with that. Not only is she insightful, but she knows how to get a job done. All of this tells me that she'd make a good businesswoman. Okay, so let's go back to the steps because I did the first few steps. I thought about the traits. I listed them in the first section. I found a passage that shows these traits in action. I recorded the passage, and now I need to do part 5, the last part. Explain how the character would work well with me. The character would work well with me because I know my own weaknesses, and by reading the book, I'm coming to know Vin's strengths. So, for as far as I go, and I'll fill this in my example. So let's just put a little about me. Not that organized, not forceful, and unable to memorize things in my head really well, which Vin showed she could do. So Vin would complement me as a business partner because she can do things. she can do the things that I struggle with really well. She can look at a situation with lots of moving parts, which often happens in the business world, and assess why things are happening and what needs to happen as a next step. She'd make a great planner in my travel business. So planning and organization, which are two things I struggle with. Additionally, her powers, let's be real, would be very helpful. I could offer leap tours, because she can jump around really high and far, of cities from or through VIN, right? This would make my company stand out among the competition. So I've done just a little bit, and I could actually keep going here, but I've given you a little bit of my thinking. Why am I looking at VIN? What is it about VIN that would make for a good business partner? What is it about VIN, and what is it about me that would make our partnership either good or bad? If I'm organized and she's organized, why do I need her? I need a business partner who's going to make up for my weaknesses and whose strengths are going to be unique and that I can use. So like for her, it's her special power, right? So that's what you're doing. Mine looks really long just because my passage is really long and your passages might be long too. When in doubt, have more than you think you need for your evidence here, just because it's going to be good to come back to. It's going to be useful. And then make sure you get this part too. Think about you and your role in your business and what your strengths are and what you will provide, and then explain why this character helps balance out you in this business. All right? If you have any other questions, let me know. That's this assignment.